Hello everyone, and welcome to your introduction to social media. Let me get my PowerPoint working here. There we go. What has social media done to the strategic communication profession? It has totally redefined it. It redefined customer service, employee communication, project management, fundraising, event planning, brand building, you name it. The way that we practice the profession has changed profoundly. Social media is basically a series of websites and applications that allow people to share content very quickly, very efficiently, and in real time. Most people today would say social media is all the apps on my smartphone. Well, the truth is this communication tool actually started with computers. The misconception really comes from the fact that most social media users access their tools via apps. In fact, 50% of users online never actually engage in social media. One of the first things I want to show you is a video called The Social Media Revolution. And this kind of gives you some interesting facts and statistics about social media. So as you can see, social media platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, they're fundamentally changing the way businesses and consumers behave. They connect hundreds of millions of people to each other via instant communication. The next video I wanted to show you is the rather famous Old Spice campaign, one of the earliest campaigns to really go viral on social media. The team behind this amazingly well-run campaign managed to engage half of the internet and provoke almost unequivocally positive results from social media sites like Reddit and Twitter. Even the comments on YouTube were overwhelmingly positive, and that never happens. The Old Spice Twitter account accumulated tens of thousands of new followers, and the YouTube videos amassed hundreds of thousands of views. So here is the original Old Spice commercial.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Old Spice, he could smell like he's me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on a boat with the man your man could smell it. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's an oyster with 2 tickets to that thing you love. Look again. The tickets are now diamond. Anything is possible when your man smells like Old Spice and not a lady. I'm on a horse.
So it was rather unconventional, quite funny and humorous, and humor goes a long way on social media. It was named as the best overall social media campaign of 2010, the fastest growing and most popular interactive campaign ever. You see the gentleman there who was the Old Spice spokesperson. He used to do videos that were very personalized to using people's own names and send them YouTube videos. It reached 40 million in just 1 week, 1.4 billion total impressions, but most importantly of all, their sales went up 107%. So it helps people like CEOs see, hey, this is not just window dressing. Social media is not just a, hey, wouldn't it be nice to have, or everybody else has it, so we should too. It actually can have a direct impact on your bottom line. You also need to remember with things like this that creativity is key. We're going to talk about storytelling later in the semester. But this campaign really spoke to people directly, making people laugh and cry at the same time, using all the new media at their disposal to really sometimes tailor and personalize this campaign. The next example I want to show you is for a blender called Blendtec. This is the CEO, you'll see him, the head of Blendtec, blending all kinds of things. These were really inexpensive YouTube videos, but I'll show you the results just in a moment. They're pretty astounding.
Will it blend? That is the question. Yesterday, I was playing Halo 3 with my 4- and 5-year-old grandchildren, and they beat me. Every single time they beat me. So, Poppy giveth, and Poppy taketh away, and Poppy blendeth. I think I'm going to press the Master Chief button. Flood smoke. Don't breathe this. That's the way to beat Halo 3.
So Tom would blend anything from a baseball to an iPhone, and it was pretty effective stuff because I will tell you the results here in just a moment. Let me get to the Blendtec page. Home sales of blenders increased by more than 700%. So incredible return on their investment. And you think about their investment, these were very inexpensive videos to produce. They were placed on YouTube where they started to go viral. So they didn't have to work very hard and they didn't have to spend a lot in terms of resources to get a huge return on that small investment. Think about buying a car. Sometimes that can illustrate what's wrong with PR, advertising, and marketing today. Think about the last time you bought a car. Most people begin their research by going to the big automaker websites. And on all of those, you can typically get assaulted on the homepage with a barrage of TV-style broadcast advertising. And all the one-way messages just focus on price and things like model year clearance, 0% financing. All these sites assume that you're ready to buy a car right then, but sometimes you just want to learn something. And if you're looking for some personality on the sites, most of the time you'll find none. The automakers portray themselves as these sort of nameless, faceless corporations without real people involved. The sites are really advertising to us, but not building a relationship with us. The place where you can get authentic content and get educated about cars and interact with humans who aren't the automakers are sites like Edmunds. It's a consumer-driven social networking and personal page site with features like photo albums, user groups based on make and model, favorite links, peer reviews. So that's where a lot of people can go to get some really authentic information. Another example of how certain companies and organizations have really found how to use social media successfully is Cervelo Cycles. And you can go to the link here and kind of check out their website. The head of the company, Gerard Roman, he'll tell you he's an engineer. He's not a marketer. And his company is really obsessed with the buyers of his competition bikes and with the engineering-driven product he offers to his customers. And he's really focused his company to help his customers win races, and they do. He also really excels at using the web to tell cycling enthusiasts compelling stories, to educate them, to engage them in the conversation, and to entertain them. His website works really well because it includes perfect content for visitors who are ready to buy a bike, but also for people who are just browsing. The content is valuable, it's authentic, compared to the one-way marketing messages on most other sites. People can sign up for an email newsletter, they can download audio such as interviews with professional writers, they can check out the company blog, browse news and photos, etc. There was a customer named Ryan who is an amateur triathlon competitor, and he said, "What I really like about this website is how it gives off the aura of legitimacy, being based on fact and not fluff." Roman writes all of the content himself, but he wouldn't call it a fancy website. He gets negative feedback on the site from web designers, but the customers love it. The learning here is that you can be pretty small, occupy a niche, and still sell your products all over the world. Now, Amazon.com is an interesting website. Now, at a broad level, there's two ways that people will interact with content. They will search and they will browse. Most organizations optimize their websites for searching, which helps people answer their questions but doesn't really encourage them to browse. People want a site to tell them something they didn't think to ask, and the marketers at Amazon understand that when people browse the site, they may have a general idea of what they want, but not a particular title. So if you start a search for a book with Surfing for Beginners, you might get 99 titles in the results. With this list as the starting point, you shift into browse mode. Each title has a customer ranking. You can see user-generated reviews together with reviews from other media. You can see customers who bought this item also bought lists, and also rankings of what do customers ultimately buy after viewing this item. After you find the perfect book and purchase it, you might get an email from Amazon weeks later suggesting, based on that purchase, another book that you might find useful. The site is designed to work for a major and often ignored audience. People who do their own research and consider a decision over a period of time before they make a commitment. The most effective web strategies Anticipate people's needs and provide content to meet those even before people know to ask. Marketing on the web is not about generic banner ads designed to trick people with neon color and wacky movements. It's about understanding keywords and phrases that buyers are using, then deploying micro campaigns to drive those buyers to pages full of the content that they are looking for. One of the biggest mistakes that retailers especially make is to open up an account with every social media platform they think is relevant and then leave them with no activity, no content. Having an account with social media doesn't make you into social media any more than owning golf clubs makes you ready for the PGA Tour. In fact, social media users are turned off by the retailer who opens accounts and then doesn't engage and therefore becomes labeled as a pretender. The truth is it's better to not have a social media icon on your website if you're not going to actively engage in it. The other big mistake retailers make is by using social media to talk about what's important to them rather than talking about what's important to the customer. As a retailer, you may think it's great to shout that you have a sale going on, and in some regards this could be true, but if that's the reason you're getting involved in social media, it will do nothing for you. Your goal should be to provide content that is relevant to your customer and engages them to the point that they want to share your post with others. If you engage social media, engage your customer, involve them in a dialogue. Ask them their opinions. Post a picture of 2 items you're considering to carry in the store and ask them which one they like better. It creates a conversation and a dialogue, which leads to shared posts, which leads to engaged followers. Speaking of followers, while you're building up a large network and getting a lot of followers is great, ultimately what you're after is the followers that you do have is you want them to share what you're posting with their network. It's the new form of word of mouth advertising and it still costs the same, essentially free. Think of it this way. A post or a tweet that you put out there might get read, but when it has been shared or forwarded or favorited by someone who got it, it now has that person's endorsement. And we all listen to our friends a lot more than we listen to a retail store. Consumers want brands to be accessible and accommodating when they have a problem. The rest of the time they want them to be cool and not try so hard to win over their audience. Now I want to show you a few more examples, and these are especially good examples when it comes to using video and storytelling techniques.
Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest, laughing back and forth at what the other has to say. Reminiscing this and that and having such a good time. Oodle-lolly, golly, what a day. Never ever thinking there was danger in the water they were drinking, they just guzzled it down. Never dreaming that a scheming sheriff and his posse was watching them and gathering around. Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest, jumping fences, dodging trees, and trying to get away. Contemplating nothing but escape and finally making it. Oodle-lolly, golly, what a day. Oodle-lolly, golly, what a day.
That is absolutely one of my favorite social media ads of all time. And it was done by Android. And Android called it the Friends Forever. And it became not only the most shared ad of 2015, but the most shared up until that point. So it was incredibly successful, went viral. The ad, which is part of Android's Be Together, Not the Same ad campaign, was shared more than 6.4 million times. And while the curation of all those videos probably took a while, there's not much original content creation going on here. It's really just a series of clips of unlikely animals palling around together. I mean, who doesn't want to see a parrot feeding spaghetti to a husky? or a monkey climbing onto and then falling off a horse's back, and yet the video was shared more than 6.4 million times. The takeaway here is that even the simplest of videos can be super shareable and has the right subject matter. In this case, the subject matter is animals, which the folks at Android use to focus on shared experiences. And by tapping into viewers' emotions, the video has a built-in broad appeal and shareability. This next one is from Dove, and Dove is particularly adept at encouraging their community to participate in their stories.
It was my choice. And now I will question myself for the next few weeks, maybe months.
We had an option of 2 pathways to walk, and they led to 2 doorways. It was a bit confronting, actually, to be honest, to see these big signs and feeling like you had to choose and be self-conscious of how you perceive yourself and perhaps if it lines up with how the rest of the world perceives you.
I went through the average door.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I didn't even hesitate.
漂亮对我的概念来说，就是像明星那种遥不可及的那种。我走的是一般。
Mas eu acho que é mais porque eu me arrependi da escolha, porque era diferente do que eu vivo, é diferente do que eu sou.
Am I choosing because of what's constantly bombarded at me, what I'm being told that I should accept, or am I choosing because that's what I really believe?
I walked into that door with said average and I didn't feel really good after that, because obviously I had rated myself average and nobody else.
Todos os dias eu passo pela porta comum e ontem foi um dia único e eu optei por passar pelo bonita.
Oh, we've got a little glitch, so I apologize. Hopefully we can keep going here. And basically, what you can see with Dove is they focus less on the product itself and more on their mission. And so Dove has been really successful in creating emotional viral videos that have helped them stay top of mind. Let me see if I can reload this one and start where we left off. Let's see. Looks like the internet's just not going to cooperate today. All right, so we will pause with that one. I encourage you to watch the rest of it because it is pretty emotional. But let's continue on with some other examples here. All right, so again, think about tying your marketing to a larger mission to try to cultivate a really loyal following. And customers who are really emotionally connected to a brand tend to spend twice as much on average than customers categorized as highly satisfied. The next one I want to try to show you, if the internet will cooperate, is American Greetings. They did a video called World's Toughest Job. Let's see if it'll work for us.
Just give me 1 second. Thank
Sure.
you, sorry. Hey. 2 minutes. Thank you. Hi, good afternoon. Sorry about that.
Ori.
Hi, nice to
Hi.
meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Have you ever done one of these interviews over the camera before?
No.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about the job to get started with. It's not just a job, it's sort of probably the most important job. The title that we have going right now is Director of Operations, but it's really kind of so much more than that. Responsibilities and requirements are really quite extensive. First category for the requirements would be mobility. This job requires that you must be able to work standing up most or really all of the time, constantly on your feet, constantly bending over, constantly exerting yourself, a high level of stamina.
Okay.
That's a lot.
For how many hours?
135 hours to unlimited hours a week. It's basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I'm sure you'll have a chance from time to time to maybe just sit down here and there, yeah?
You mean like a break?
Yeah.
No, there are no breaks available.
Is that even legal?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, no lunch?
You can have lunch, but only when the associate is done eating their lunch.
I think that's a little intense.
No.
Not possible.
That's crazy.
Now, this position requires excellent negotiation and interpersonal skill. We're really looking for someone that might have a degree in medicine, in finance, and the culinary arts. You must be able to wear several hats. Associate needs constant attention. Sometimes they have to stay up with an associate throughout the night. Being able to work in a chaotic environment, if you had a life, we'd ask you to sort of give that life up. No vacations. In fact, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and holidays, the workload is going to go up, and we demand that with a happy disposition.
That's almost cruel. That's almost a very, very sick, twisted joke.
But when there's time to sleep or...
Oh, no time to sleep.
Yeah, all-encompassing, almost.
That's exactly right.
365 days a year?
Yes.
No, that's inhumane.
That's very insane.
The meaningful connections that you make and the feeling that you get from really helping your associate are immeasurable. Also, let's cover the salary. The position is going to pay absolutely nothing.
Excuse me?
No. Nobody's doing that for free.
Yeah, pro bono. Completely for free.
No.
What if I told you there's someone that actually currently holds this position right now? Billions of people, actually.
Who?
Moms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moms.
That's awesome.
Oh!
And they meet every requirement, don't
wow.
Oh my god. Moms are the best!
Yeah, there's no pay. They're 24 hours. They're always there.
Now I'm thinking about my mom.
they? Yeah, what are you thinking about her?
I'm thinking about all those nights and everything.
Thank you so much for everything you do. I know it doesn't seem like I appreciate all of it, but I definitely do.
So, Mom, I want to say thank you for everything that you've done. I love you very much. You've been there through thick and thin. My mom is just awesome. She's awesome.
Anybody else tearing up? That is a really good example of emotion-driven marketing. Aside from the little quip about getting your mom a card for Mother's Day at the close of the video, the bulk of the content is really free of sales innuendo and product placement. It's kind of refreshing. So they used creative, kind of a faux interview process to bring to light the impressive day-to-day routines of moms everywhere. And it's hard for viewers to walk away from this video not feeling appreciative. The takeaway here really is think about leveraging a plot twist. When the audience can't predict the outcome, they'll be more likely to remain engaged throughout the entirety of your content. The next slide, let me go back to the PowerPoint here. We're not going to watch this video. It's a little bit long, but you're welcome to take a look at it later on. If you remember a film called Lion, the film was based on this particular story. It's an emotional account of Saroo Brierley's journey to trace back his original roots in India after a tragic separation from his family. So Google Earth kind of inserted their product into a story of loss, love, and then restoration. Google Earth was really successful in positioning its capabilities as life-changing, but it doesn't feel too showy. The video really makes you feel that Google Earth isn't out to make money, but they're out to build a service and to really improve the lives of their users. Again, the takeaway from this one is an appeal to emotion. While you don't want to abuse this approach too much, emotion is an incredibly powerful driver that can influence the way people act and respond to your product or service. All right, I am going to show you this one because I think we've all gathered ourselves from the last video. This is from GoPro cameras, and they are really known as more of the camera for adventure seekers. But this one is, they're trying to position themselves a little differently with this one. All right, so yet another emotional tug at the heartstrings. Again, that video was not really focused towards the adventurous type or people who are into extreme sports, which is what GoPro's kind of been known as. They really wanted to appeal to a wider audience here. It really is a unique and inspiring video, like many of their others, and the everyday heroism theme is still intact, but it goes beyond the brand's typical athlete persona. So the takeaway here is don't be afraid to push those boundaries of your brand's image. Find ways to change the way you exhibit the various themes in your brand's personality and experiment with different topics and formats that could help you really widen your audience. So I hope this presentation has kind of given you a sense of the power that social media can have and some of the things we need to focus on. As we go through the class, we're going to talk a lot about social media strategy and how to really engage your audience. So I hope you'll stay with me, and we'll be exploring those items throughout the class.